That's right.
Hare Krishna. So I'm grateful to be here with all of you today. And I'll today discuss on the Srimad Bhagavatam from a key section. So I will start with a question. If we consider I'll be writing over here and drawing certain things, the origin of the Bhagavatam. So how does the Bhagavatam originate? Can any of you say?
Shukdev Goswami.
Yes. So Shukdev Goswami speaks to Parikshit Maharaj. Okay. That's one origin of the Bhagavatam. Any other origin? Krishna to Brahma. Yes. That is another origin of the Bhagavatam. That is Chatushloki Bhagavatam.
Narad Muni inspires Vyasadeva.
Yes. So Narad Muni to Vyasadeva. So Shukdev Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj, that starts from Canto 2 onward actually. So Parikshit Maharaj appears in the first canto at the end, starts from the second canto and goes till the 12th canto, about half of the 12th canto. Now this comes in the third canto, it's the Shloki Bhagavatam. The Narad Vyasa Samvad is 1.4 to 6, 3 chapters. Any other origins for the Bhagavatam? Yes, that's a bigger conversation. So Suta Goswami to the sages of Naimisharanya. So that starts approximately from 1.1, not 1.1, 1.1, but 1.1, and it goes till almost the 12th canto end. Little earlier than then, the Falashruti is there, nearly the end. Anything else?
Shiva to Parvati.
Shiva to Parvati. Where is that? Where is this reference? Okay. Shiva to Parvati. Yes, that's true. Sorry? Sorry, can you speak loudly? Yeah, that's the Ramayana. That is the Valmiki. The Ramcharitmanas is depicted as a conversation between Shiva and Parvati. This may be there because they may also have discussed the Bhagavatam, but I don't remember this being explicitly mentioned in the Bhagavatam at least. Is something?
Mentioned for the glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yes.
Was instructed
To Vyasadeva. Yes. So here you could see the purpose is to glorify the Lord. So yes, all these are we could say the origin of the Bhagavatam. Now beyond that, we also understand that the Bhagavatam is timeless. It manifests at a particular time. It is not that before Shukdev Goswami spoke to Parikshit Maharaj, it is not that it didn't exist at all. It is timeless, it manifests at a particular time. So we understand that the universe is also cyclic. So the Bhagavatam was there in the previous millennia also. Now, when we look at the origin, these are all good answers. We could look at it from three perspectives. From a conversational perspective. So the Bhagavatam is a conversation. That's Parikshit Maharaj, Shukdev Goswami or Sutta Goswami, the sages. Now, beyond that, there is the conceptual perspective. The conceptual perspective is that what is the point, what is the concept of the Bhagavatam? That is the Narad Vyasa Samvad. So from the conceptual perspective, the Bhagavatam is conceptualize means to come up with a concept and then we can implement it. And then now after the concept has come up, then what does Vyasadeva do? In the 7th chapter, in the beginning, it's described that Vyasadeva, it is more of a visualized perspective. So the conceptual and visualized are related. I'll explain what is the difference. This is Vyasadeva's vision. And there are 4 verses in the Bhagavatam, which are the Vyasadeva's vision. And Jiva Goswami, while analyzing in the Shat Sandarbhas, where does the Bhagavatam come from? he emphasizes these 4 verses. So we will look at these 4 verses today, and by that we'll try to understand the point of the Bhagavatam. That sometimes when a person writes a book, maybe in the introduction they write why I wrote the book. If they write a story also, in movies also there's a story behind the story. So like that, the vision that Vyasadeva gets is described in this series of 4 verses. So in the instruction that Narada used to Vyasadeva, Samadhina Anusmara Vicheshtitam, that enter into Samadhina and Anusmara, remember, systematically remember. Vicheshtitam is the beautiful activity to the Lord. So then 174, the vision is described. So here previous verse 173, what is described? Tasmin swashrame vyaso badarish. Okay, you can recite it. Tasmin swashrame vyaso. So okay, let's do one line. I'll explain the line. So swa ashrame, in his own ashram. Vyaso. What did he do? Badari Shandamandite. So that means he sat under the Badari tree. And Asino upasprisya. So Asino, he sat. Apa is Bhumer Apo Nalo Vayu. What is Apa? Water. So upasprisya, he touched water to purify himself. And then Pranidadhyau manasvayam. So mana, his own mind, swayam, pranidadhyau, he focused, he concentrated his mind. So what his guru Narad Muni had told him, now he tried to contemplate that, he tried to assimilate that, he tried to internalize that. And in the next 4 verses, the vision that he had when writing the Bhagavatam, that is described. So let's look at that vision. So I will explain this vision in terms of 4 points, an acronym side. We all, Krishna is inside us. He's on our side, but we are often not on Krishna's side. We think that Krishna is on the opposite side. I have so many plans, Krishna is not fulfilling those plans. Why is Krishna not helping me? So we'll see how, in one sense, the Bhagavatam gives us a vision. The vision has 2 aspects to it. First is to understand that Krishna is on our side, that God is never against us. And then, after that, to decide, I want to be on Krishna's side. So these are basically 2 steps. If you want to develop a relationship with Krishna, first we need to be convinced that Krishna is my well-wisher. Krishna is on my side. And then, after that, we need to choose to be with Krishna. So this vision, the Bhagavatam gives us. So let's look at this vision one by one. So the next verse, Bhakti Yogena Manasi. So by the practice of Bhakti Yoga, Yogena Manasi, in his mind, Samyak Pranihite Amale. So fully focused, Pranihite, he Amale. Mala is what? Dirt. So Amale. So he concentrated his mind, purified his mind, and in a wholehearted, Samyak, completely Pranihite, focused. Apashyat Purusham Purnam. So Apashyat means to see. So Purusham Purnam, the complete personality of God, he saw. Mayam Chatad Apashrayam. And he saw Krishna and he also saw Maya. And Tad Apashrayam means that Maya is under his shelter. Maya is under his control. So now, what is the significance of this vision? There are 4 distinct points in this verse. Each line is a point. So, bhakti yogena manasi. Our mind is our tool for perception. Now, we don't just see with our eyes. We see actually with our subtle body, with our mind intelligence, which helps us to make sense of things. Suppose some villager, some tribal who has no awareness of the stock market comes to a place where stocks are being traded, and they saw on a big screen the stock market graph goes down, and it goes down and everybody's hands go up. Oh God, what happened? And this person will say, hey, what happened? Why are you so upset? Just one image, one line went down on the screen. Why are you so upset? So, we see with our eyes, but we actually understand with our intelligence. And that's why in the Bhagavatam there is many places the verses Pashyan api na pashyati. So they see, but they don't comprehend. So we don't see just with our eyes, we see with our intelligence, we see with our subtle body. So here, bhakti yogena manasi. It's interesting, there is no mention of the eyes over here for the purpose of seeing. It is he's seeing in the vision that comes before him in the mind. So, but the mind needs to be trained through bhakti yoga. Just like any field, if somebody wants to see something, what does the stock market crash mean? That a person has to have some education about that. If a person has some symptoms, say if somebody has white nails, say, okay, the doctor may say, have you got anemia? So that is the medical vision. So if we want to train our vision, bhakti yogena manasi. There's a beautiful cyclicity in this. This starts with bhakti and also will end with bhakti. The same series of verses. Bhakti yogena manasi. So the mind is directed by bhakti yoga. And then samyak pranihite amale. So it has to be concentrated till it becomes purified. That the mind has many contaminations. And in general, when we talk about contaminations, what contaminations do is that, so if you consider here on 1.7.4, so often the verses are analyzed in 4 lines, A, B, C, D. So first is that train the mind with bhakti. So it is not that we can see simply by trying more and more to see. Prabhupada says if you are blind, then you have to get your eyes operated before you can. Just making more endeavors is not enough. They say, Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya. So the Guru is one who treats us. So train the mind with bhakti. And then focus till it is purified. Focus till it is purified. And in general, whenever we use the word impurity, what does impurity mean?
Unnatural condition.
Something unnatural. Okay, yes, like impure water. It has something which it should not have. It contains something. Now, what is the result of impurity? Effectiveness goes down. So the result, say if drinking water we should feel nourished, or sometimes the water is contaminated by dirty substances, you feel, yeah, I just want to spit it out sometimes. So the effect is opposite. So what impurity essentially does is distortion of perception. Sir, can you mute it also? Distortion of perception. What this means is, say consider somebody has lust or somebody has greed. So then what happens at that particular time? Getting that particular object which will satisfy one's lust or greed becomes more important than everything else. It becomes more important than one's humanity, one's decency, one's morality, one's spirituality. even sometimes one's own dignity in society. Like a person becomes an alcoholic, then what happens? Alcohol becomes the most important thing in the world for them. This person may be in office looking at their boss, and suddenly the boss's body changes into a bottle of alcohol in their mind. So basically, the object, it enlarges. It becomes more than what it is, and everything else shrinks in proportion. So essentially, impurity is that which causes distortion of perception. The Sanskrit word for impurity is mala. Any other word? What last anger read? What do we refer to them as? Anartha. Now this word anartha it has many different meanings. Now one meaning of the artha is no artha, unartha. But that's a simple understanding. A deeper understanding is anartha is that which makes us feel there is artha in no artha. That thing which has no value, that we feel has great value. So anartha is that which distorts our perception so that which is not so valuable appears immensely valuable. So yes, there is pleasure in possession, there is pleasure in sense gratification, but that pleasure is quite tiny. And when the anartha grips our mind, then it makes us feel this is the most important thing in my life. That is how so this distortion of perception happens. So we will talk about this verse as we move forward, but the point is, he says that we need to focus amale. When we focus on Krishna, the mala in the mind goes out. We'll talk about how that happens. And then apashyat purusham purnam, that he sees. The third line was what? Sees. There is vision of the Lord, the Supreme Person. Apashyat purusham purnam. So when we are purified, then we see that Krishna, it doesn't exist, but Krishna is. The important thing is the last line, that Krishna's controllership of Maya. That Krishna is bigger than Maya. And it is this vision, this last point, Mayam Chiradapashvayam, that's very important to understand. In fact, you could say the whole spiritual journey can be depicted in one diagram. That initially for us, the world, which is basically the domain of Maya, the world is very big and God is small. Yeah, maybe God exists, maybe he doesn't exist. Even if he exists, how does he matter? So one of my relatives, when I introduced them to Bhakti, said, I believe in God. He's happy there, I'm happy here. So God doesn't matter. But then as we grow spiritually, the world becomes smaller and God becomes bigger. Now, Krishna is always bigger than the world, but it is in our perception. So this is distortion of perception, where the world seems bigger than Krishna for us. So when there is purification, then through the purification, we could say there is restoration of perception. From distortion to restoration. Our perception gets restored to the original state. So Mayam Chittadapashram, that Maya is under Krishna's control. That means that if Krishna is the bigger reality, if Maya can give me some pleasure, Krishna can give me greater pleasure. If Maya can cause me some trouble, Krishna is greater and Krishna can provide me protection from Maya. So in that sense, this is the vision that we who are on the spiritual journey want to get. We may not necessarily see Krishna in our mind's eye. It's interesting, in this verse, the name of that Apashyat Purusham Purnam is not described. It will come later. At this point, the important point here, even if we don't know who God is, if we just understand God's position, that God is bigger than this world, that itself is the foundation of steady spiritual growth. Without that, we can practice bhakti, we can come to the temple, but as long as we think the world is bigger, then, okay, sometimes we come to Krishna, sometimes we feel, okay, I have no time right now. So, this is the vision that mayam chatadapashraya. Now, so I'll take each of these verses one by one, and then we'll have some questions at the end. Well, let's recite this verse once again by contemplating this. Bhakti yogena manasi samyak pranihite amale apashyat purusham purnam mayam cha tadapashrayam. Let's recite it together once. Bhakti yogena manasi samyak pranihite amale apashyat purusham purnam mayam cha tadapashrayam. Two more times. Bhakti yogena manasi samyak pranihite amale apashyat purusham purnam mayam cha tadapashrayam. Bhakti yogena manasi samyak pranihite amale apashyat purusham purnam mayam cha tadapashrayam. Thank you. So now the next part is that, okay, Krishna is there, Maya is there, but the third entity is we, the Jiva. So where is the Jiva? That is what is described. There are three truths in reality: the Prakriti, Jiva, and Ishvara. So Prakriti and Ishvara are talked about in the previous verse. Now the third truth is we talked about. So Yaya is by which. So by which is the Maya Amchita the Pashra, that Maya. Yaya sammohito Jiva, by whom the Jiva is deluded. Yaya sammohito Jiva. Now is deluded. How is the deluded? Atmanam, that the Atmanam is the self. Trigunatmakam, that the soul identifies oneself with the three modes. Atmanam Trigunatmakam. And what is the result of this identification? Paro is transcendental. Or api, although the soul is transcendental, manute thinks that anartham, that which is actually not of value, that the soul thinks this is what I am. This is what matters to me. Paro pimanute anartham. Then tatkrutam, and thinking in this way, thinking that the products of Maya are what are most important, tatkrutam, accordingly he acts. Kruti is action. Tatkrutam is action that is accordingly. Cha abhipadyate. So abhipadyate means undergoes. So it's interesting. It's abhipadyate. It's not so much he does, but he undergoes. So it undergoes actions under that spell. So let's recite it once. Yaya sammohito jiva. Atmanam trigunatmakam. Paropi manute anartham. Tatkrutam chabhipadyate. So here in this verse, if you continue. So if you look at the 4 lines, the soul is deluded by Maya. Now, so what is the delusion? It is the self identifies with that which is the non-self, something different. I think that I am something which I am not. And what is the problem with this? the soul is spiritual, what it identifies with is anartham. That in this case, in paro api manute anartham. The spiritual being identifies with material things. So spiritual being identifies with material thing or things. And then tatkrutam, acts under a spell. So here, the bondage that happens when the soul gets caught. So what exactly happens? For all of us, there's a similar verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the Bhagavad Gita 13:22. Purusha prakriti sthohi bhungte prakriti jan gunan karanam guna sangosya sadasat yoni janmasu. So there, imagine if there's a child. The child is watching a TV. Now, when the child is watching the TV, say there is a horror movie going on over here. The child might be sitting very comfortably at home. Maybe the parents are in the next room. But if the child is caught in watching the horror movie, and the child is horrified, terrified, crying in fear, trembling, although there is no danger, but still the child feels great danger. So it is because the consciousness is caught there. And what causes this? This is the bhungte, the desire to enjoy. The child doesn't have to watch the TV. But when the child starts watching the TV, the child gets caught in it. So bhungte. So similarly for us over here, the soul is spiritual, the world is material. Technically speaking, in the hierarchy of things, if you consider, there is a hierarchy, there's a technical word for it, ontological, that means the nature of existence, how things exist. In the ontological hierarchy, the Ishvara is the highest, the Jiva is second, and Prakriti is third. So this is, you could say, an ontological or natural hierarchy. The Jiva is conscious, Prakriti is not. In that sense, the Jiva is above Prakriti. So these three are also described by another term, that is 3 J's, they call it Jiva alliteration. There is Jagadish, there is Jiva, and there is Jagat. So now these three are there. Now what happens is, in terms of a functional hierarchy, how things happen in this world, or you could say the unnatural hierarchy that happens here, is that the Jagat becomes bigger than the Jiva. And why does it happen? Because the Jiva believes the Jagat will make me happy. So see, alcohol cannot control a person. But as long as the person believes that alcohol will give me happiness, then that person will run here, there and everywhere in the pursuit of alcohol. So the moha is that we conceive of certain things as sources of happiness for us. And to the extent we think that this is the source of happiness. Now, of course, we can say there are many sources of happiness. Good food is a source of happiness. Praise by others is a source of happiness. Seeing something beautiful is a source of happiness. The problem is that we don't just think of these as sources of happiness. When the moha comes, we think of it as the source of the supreme happiness. The source of the happiness that I must have. Now, an alcoholic may not say that, oh, I think alcohol is the source of greatest happiness. No, may not think like that, but they act like that. Give up everything else for that. So, Atmanam Trigunaatmakam, the self identifies with a particular product of material nature. And to the extent the self identifies with that product, that material nature of which it is a product gains control over the self. Tat krutam cha vipadyate. So the soul starts acting like a puppet. See, often we use the word bondage. The soul is bhavabandhan, the soul is bound. But the bondage that we suffer from, it is not like a prisoner's shackles. Prisoner's shackles, they immobilize us. If somebody is shackled by in a prison, they just can't move. Our shackles, the bondage is like a puppeteer's string. It doesn't just mobilize us, it, you can say, hyper mobilizes us. We run here and there faster than what we would normally run. The Bhagavatam uses the word Vimudha. Mudha is what? Fool. Fool. And Vimudha is an empowered fool. Actually, if you see, materialistic people are empowered. Empowered in the sense that we generally use the words empowered in the spiritual sense. But empowered means they are infused with some extraordinary energy. How hard people work sometimes. I want to get this job, I want to get this promotion, I want this relationship, and people are ready to go to any extremes for that. They're empowered. So I have written a book on reincarnation called Demystifying Reincarnation. So I was in America. I gave a college program. After that, one young man came to me and says, I have a very serious personal question. Okay? He said, I'm in love with a girl. She also loves me. But our parents are just not agreeing. It's not working out. She's going to get married to someone else. He says, I want to know what karma can I do so that in my next life I'll be able to marry her. So, there is acceptance of reincarnation, but what happens is, nowadays many people have the idea of a soulmate. You heard this word? But for them, the focus is the mate, not the soul. So, rather than try to understand the soul, they focus on only the mate part. So, somebody may even know the philosophy, but this is through the philosophy one tries to fulfill one's desire. Isn't it? That is the meaning of empowered fool. Now, that you are empowered to use everything, even spiritual philosophy, for the purpose of pursuing one's own desires. Now, at one level we can say that the male-female attraction is natural, even necessary in this world. And yes, that is true. But the point is, again, it is natural, it is necessary, it is also pleasurable to some extent. But the misconception is to think this is the most important thing in life. So much so that one is thinking, in the next life I want this. If I can't get it in this life.
How will you reply? How will you reply to this person?
Well, it is a long answer. See, I explained three different things. First is that we may desire things in life, but it is not just our desire that gives us the results. And that sometimes, despite our wanting and striving, some things may not work. And that is just the way the world is. Sometimes karma comes into the play and we have positive negative karma balance that we have to deal with. And second is that the point I mentioned is karma is not meant to make us calculative. Karma is meant to make us responsible. So what does that mean? The difference, calculative means, okay, I will do this much karma and I'll get this much result. So it is not, karma is not mathematical. Now we can use some mathematical ideas to explain it. So it's not that you can do this karma and you can get that result. That it is, the point of karma is that we understand that my actions matter. That if I do good actions, I will get good in the future. If I do bad actions, I will get some bad in the future. So our actions do matter even if they don't seem to. So that's the idea of karma making us responsible. And lastly, I said that whatever whatever joy we might get from anything in this world, including from any relationship in this world, whether we will get that particular joy, we can't control that. But ultimately, all joy comes from the divine. And the relationship with the divine can fulfill our heart's deepest longings. So the idea is that there is fulfillment of desire and there is fulfillment of heart. So we often think that if my desire is fulfilled, then my heart will be fulfilled. But it doesn't work like that. Sometimes our desire is fulfilled and still then so many other desires start coming up and we don't feel fulfilled. So the fulfillment of desire can come by some material arrangement if things work out for us. But the fulfillment of heart comes by spiritual devotion. So if you connect with Krishna, if it is within the arrangement of karma, you may get that in the future life, that particular relationship. But even if you don't, if you connect with Krishna, even if the particular desire is fulfilled or not fulfilled, the heart will surely be fulfilled. Thank you for the distracting question. Okay. Now, so here the point is, it is our desire that causes us bondage. So I was talking about how this is the puppeteer string. Puppeteer string means what? We don't feel we are bound because we're doing so many things. We're going here, going there, pursuing this, pursuing that. So we don't feel as if we are bound. And the greatest triumph of Maya is to make us believe that getting Maya is our greatest triumph. The greatest triumph of Maya, the greatest triumph of the force of illusion, is to make us believe that getting Maya could be money, could be fame, that getting money or fame would be our greatest triumph. So that is how Maya completely conquers us. And when this jiva is deluded in this way, so it's like we don't even want to fight the battle because it's almost like the enemy winning the battle we think is our victory. We are losing the battle, but the greatest triumph of Maya. So triumph is victory, and it's not just victory, it's like a victory that somebody celebrates. This triumphant return. Say India won the World Cup, then it is, and then India came back, the Indian cricket team came back. It's not just a victory, it's a triumphant return, celebration. The greatest triumph of India, of Maya, okay, is to make us believe that getting Maya means the object that is enabled by Maya to us, is our greatest triumph. So this is how Maya completely catches us in its illusion, and we don't even realize we are deluded like that. So then what is the way out? That's described in the next verse. Before that, let's recite this verse once again. Yaya sammohito jiva atmanam trigunaatmakam paropi manute anartham tatkritam cha vipadyate. Let's do it together 3 times. Yaya sammohito jiva atmanam trigunaatmakam paropi manute anartham tatkritam cha vipadyate. Yaya sammohito jiva atmanam trigunaatmakam paropi manute anartham tatkritam cha vipadyate. yaya sammohito jiva atmanam trigunaatmakam paropi manute anartham tatkritam chabhipadyate. So now, so I said, I was talking about the acronym side. So S was C. C, he saw a vision, then he identified the problem. Now, after identifying the problem, then he develops a solution. And what is the solution? Is it anartha? That was anartha was the problem in the previous one. Anartha upashamam. Upashamam means to pacify, to neutralize, to decrease till it disappears. Sakshad. So the anartha, actually through experience, the anartha disappears. Anarthopashamam sakshad. Bhakti yogam. That has to be, bhakti yoga has to be practiced. Now, previously, in the first line, the verse was apashyat. But here it is adhokshaje. Apashyat means to see. But adhokshaje is one who is beyond the senses. So the challenge of bhakti, the big challenge in bhakti is that the Lord is invisible. And Maya is not just visible but ultra visible. So turning away and offering our devotion to the invisible Lord in the presence of visible or ultra visible pleasures, that is not easy. Bhakti yoga madhokshaje. So he says, he saw that this is actually the way, that it is by performing bhakti that the anarthas can be pacified, they can be removed. But he saw that people do not understand this. People do not, lokasya ajananto, they do not know this. Vidvamsh. So therefore, the wise person, the learned person who was vidwan, lokasya jananto vidvans. Chakri means he composed. Satvata Samhita. Satvata Samhita refers to what? The Bhagavatam. So he composed. He manifested. Now the Bhagavatam had existed before. The Bhagavatam was actually is one of the 18 Puranas. And it is described that Vyasadeva had already written the 18 Puranas. So he had already written the Bhagavatam in one sense. But within the Bhagavatam, as he had written before, the pure devotional message was not adequately emphasized. So now he emphasized that in this Satvata Samhita. Satvata, the word Satvata has two meanings. One is the Satvata dynasty. That one of the names of the Yadu dynasty is Satvata dynasty. But Satvata also means Satvatampate, those who are pursuing Sat, or those who are pursuing that which exists eternally, that which is true forever. So Chakre Satvata Samhita. So basically, this verse, what is talking about it, that how the invisible can be made visible or accessible. So he had got the message from Narad Muni, and thus his vision had been directed and guided. He said, the same what I have been given, I would like to give to others. So the anarthas, can be, if you go back again to the lines, anarthas, they can be pacified. So it's like the upashamam is pacified. Okay, no. It's that lust does not necessarily have to disappear, but when it's pacified, it's neutralized, lust loses its power. In the Bhagavatam, the Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas, the Prabhupada says, use the example of a snake whose fangs, whose poison teeth have been cut, broken. Then even the snake is present, it can't bite. So anarthopashamam shakshad. Anartha pacified, by Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga to the invisible Lord. So now how would people be inspired to worship this invisible Lord? So he is giving access to the ignorant, access to the blind, access to the uninformed through the Bhagavatam. So he is providing, he's seeing the problem, or rather he's seeing the solution, and he's providing a means to implement the solution. That is Chakri Satvata Samhita. Ultimately, the purpose of hearing the Bhagavatam is not just to memorize this verse or analyze that concept. It is ultimately to direct our heart to the Lord. It is to shift the purpose of scripture. In one sense, we are here, there is the visible world in front of us, and there is the far bigger invisible world which is above us. And the worldly literature, all worldly literature will keep our vision fixated on this world. But it is scripture that raises our vision to the invisible world. Ultimately, in the invisible world, there is the invisible Lord. So, the purpose of the Bhagavatam is to shift our vision, to raise our vision so that it inspires us to devote ourselves to our Lord. Chakri Satvata Samhita. And in the last verse, I don't want to go over time too much, so we'll not recite the verses again, but let's move on to the last verse. So how is the Bhagavatam going to help? How is the Bhagavatam going to raise the vision? How is it going to bring about the pacification of the anarthas? So yasyam means this, that yaya is like a yasyam and yaya are words which connect with the previous words. Yasyam is chakre sata samhita. Vai shruyamanayam, this when it is heard, certainly. Yasyam vai shruyamanayam. So when we hear the Bhagavatam, then Krishna Parama Purushe. So the word Purusha is also coming the second time. Apashya Purusham Purnam it was. There also is alliteration of purpose. Here also it's Param Purushe. So Krishna Parama Purushe. The Krishna, the Supreme Person. Now he could have just described Krishna, but the point is that by emphasizing that he is the Supreme Person, we are given a reminder that he is the bigger reality. So Bhakti will remove the anarthas, but how will Bhakti arise? By hearing about Krishna. Bhakti utpadyate. Utpadyate is to manifest, to be stimulated. Right? Pumsaha in the human being. Bhakti utpadyate pumsaha. And then it described that what does that lead to? The anarthopashamam, upashamam that was described. That upashamam is now described in a little more analysis over here. Or the shoka, moha, bhaya, apaha. Apaha is to destroy. So shoka, moha, bhaya. So we all have our ideas of what will give me happiness. And if we have not got it in the past, that causes a shock. And right now, if that is the thing dominating our mind, that drives us, that is the moha. And the bhaya is, in the future I may not get it. Or if I have it now, to whatever degree I have it, I may lose it. So this fixation in the three phases of time, past, present and future, with our particular anartha, with the particular thing that we think will make us happy, that is apaha, that is destroyed. Shoka moha bhayapaha. Once more. Yasyam vai shruyamanayam. Krishna Parama Purushe. Bhaktirutpadyate pumsam Shoka moha bhayapaha. So for all of us, see, there are these three phases of time. In the past, we have many things to lament about. Shoka is there, grief is there about it. The future, there is bhaya, there is fear, there is anxiety, there is uncertainty, which causes anxiety, fear, panic. And with respect to the present, there is moha, there is illusion. So, the illusion about which is driving us to do what we are chasing after. So now, the Lord is Krishna is the Lord of all the three phases of time. The past, present and future. And yes, we may have lost certain things in the past. Sometimes in bhakti what happens that I'll just talk about how bhakti is meant to change our vision of these three things. Sometimes we may lament even in a devotional sense. Oh, if only I had come to bhakti in my childhood or in my youth, it would have been so much better. Or if only I had not done this or done that. Now, in one sense, it is good that we desire to serve Krishna more. And we desire that I could have served Krishna in the past also. But the point is that Krishna can make the best out of our past also. So yes, maybe we got diverted in certain things, maybe we went here, we went there. But Krishna can arrange for us to get some realizations, get some resources through that, by which we can practice bhakti now with greater conviction. So it's like, it's not just the bad things that, basically we have lamentation about two things. The bad things that happened to us and that happened through us. That means we did them. So both can cause us lamentation. But Krishna's plan works through both of them. Even if we have made some mistakes, Krishna's plan works even through our mistakes. That doesn't mean our mistakes are Krishna's plan. Our mistakes are our mistakes. But Krishna is expert enough to work even through those mistakes. That's why sometimes what happens is that when we become Krishna conscious, we think I was not Krishna conscious in the past, but that does not mean Krishna was not there in our past. Isn't it? So Krishna was acting in our past also, even when we were not acting in relationship with Krishna. So Krishna's plan was working for us even when we were not aware of Krishna. So that lamentation about the past, about the missed opportunities, about mistakes, whatever, we need to know Krishna is working, has worked through the past for us. It's not that, the time when we enter into ISKCON temple, that's the time Krishna starts appearing in our heart as the Paramatma. Before that he was not there. No, he was always there. Ishvara Sarva Bhutana Deshe Arjuna Tishtari. Every living being is there. Not just Mad Bhaktana. Sarva Bhutana. So then, now with respect to the present, for us, the more we practice bhakti, the more we hear about Krishna, the more we chant Krishna's names, the more, it is not that, the more we realize that Krishna is not just present. So, that here we understand Krishna is not just present in the present, but he is also prominent in the present. That he is the bigger reality. So we all may have particular desires, we may even have particular needs. It's not always so easy to differentiate between what is the need and what is the desire. But whatever it is, if we just, and Krishna is bigger than this. So Krishna, then we will not, if we understand Krishna is bigger than whatever the challenge facing me, whatever the desire driving me, then we won't get too much captivated by it. It's not that being Krishna conscious means, being utterly unambitious or become completely emotionless or desireless. It just means, in one sense, bhakti, it is not meant to make us desireless, because desire is a natural thing for a conscious being. When we are conscious, we perceive things, and we perceive, hey, that's nice, I would like to have that. Desire will naturally come. But what happens is, we desire less. That means the material desires, they become less for us. And then spiritual desire becomes more correspondingly. So rather than worrying too much about, oh, why is my desire for this so strong? Or why is my fear about this so strong? Focus on, just let me try to connect on Krishna, focus on Krishna. And if we do that, we'll find that the desire, the fear, whatever, that will get managed in some way. And then lastly, about the future, none of us can know what the future holds. But we can know who holds the future. We can know the Lord who holds the future. And we learn to hold on to the Lord. We hold on to the Lord now, and He will hold on to us. He will take us to the future. So, what we can know, what the future holds, that we can't know. Nobody can know that. Even when Prabhupada said that, I see temples in the future, and the time is separating them. Even Prabhupada didn't know how much time is separating, isn't it? So, Prabhupada had that faith. But faith does not necessarily mean complete certainty about everything. So, faith is a complex combination of certainty and uncertainty. The certainty is Krishna will protect. That is a conviction that is Krishna will protect, Krishna will provide. Now is protect, yoga kshemam vahamya. Krishna will protect and provide. But the uncertainty is when and how. So it's not that Prabhupada went to America, it is not that there was a hotline between him and Krishna Krishna was telling Prabhupada through the secret hotline, don't talk with this person is not going to become a devotee, don't spend time with this person is going to become a devotee, spend time with this person. No, Prabhupada tried various things. Some things worked, some things didn't work. So if we expect faith to be all of certainty, only certainty, then if we think that faith means I should have complete certainty, then we can never have that kind of faith. We will always feel that I am deficient in my faith. But if we think of faith as only uncertainty, then we will always be in insecurity. So that combination of certainty and uncertainty will always be there. Krishna gave a vision to Arjuna that you will win the war. But exactly how was he going to win the war? Krishna didn't say in 18 days you will win the war. In this way you will kill this warrior, that warrior. That had to work out on its own. So rather than worrying too much about how Krishna will protect, we focus on holding on to Krishna right now. And then in his own way, in his own time, Krishna will manifest his plan, his protection, his provision will manifest in due course. So the more Krishna becomes the bigger reality for us, then the less the world's ups and downs will matter for us. So I'll summarize. I talked about the Bhagavatam's conceptual vision today. And we talked about 4 verses. So the first point was based on 1.7.4. So that was C. I was identify. Then D was develop. And last E was explain. So he developed the resource of the Bhagavatam, and then he explains how does it solve, what does it do? It helps us understand that Krishna is the bigger reality. So he saw that Krishna is bigger than the world. To the extent we understand this, to that extent we are well situated. And you identify, what did I identify that? It is our own desire. It is our desire, our anartha, that is the cause of our bondage. That is, anartha means that which is of no artha, which we think of as supreme artha. So, then what did he develop? He said that it is scripture that raises our vision from the visible to the invisible. So this lifting of the vision, this is the Bhagavatam. The Bhagavatam, he gave the Bhagavatam to help us raise our vision. And when we raise our vision, what does it do? It's not, we still have to live in this world. And we still have the past, present and future to deal with. But when we understand that Krishna is in charge in all these phases of time, he's always above us, he's always with us, then what happens is that the control of illusion on us decreases. So basically I said that Krishna is on our side. He is overseeing everything, he's on our side. Let us be on his side. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Is there any one question? Yes, please.
To the last point, I just was thinking that what are the symptoms of a person who has Krishna prominent in his consciousness in the present moment? You said present and prominent. So what are the symptoms of a person?
If Krishna is prominent, then the world's effect on us won't be so prominent. That means the world's dangers won't seem so fearful for us. The world's pleasures won't seem so captivating or irresistible. So basically, dvandva that is there, the dualities are there that always happen in this world. Now, if we are spiritually unconnected, the duality don't just affect us. Our mind exaggerates the dualities. So any pleasure, this is the best pleasure in the world. Any problem? This is the end of the world. So the mind tends to catastrophize often. But then when it's like we become much steadier. So steadiness in that sense is one sign. There could be any other sign, but one easy to discern sign is steadiness. Thank you. Any other question?
How we can understand the mind? Why mind always tells very wrong things to us, and sometimes I feel he's a person somewhere in our mind, he's somewhere in our brain, and he.
See, the mind is not
our enemy, like.
The mind is basically like a computer program. So it is we who have programmed the mind in a particular way, and the mind keeps just simply repeating that program even when we don't want to repeat want the program to be repeated. I think, suppose somebody has visited a website called Bollywood.com. Now, maybe they visit 50 times and they come and hear a class on the Bhagavad Gita or the Bhagavatam and they want to know about it. So then they type Bhagavad Gita, they type B. And what happens? Bollywood comes. So now they wanted to go somewhere else, but the browser history is stored and it comes as autocomplete. So the mind is like a browser. And the impressions in the mind samskaras, are like our browser history. So rather than getting irritated, that okay, why is it coming as autocomplete? Krishna says just two things, abhyasa and vairagya. See, the two things we need to do is just keep visiting bhagavadgita.com and then don't visit bollywood.com. So abhyasa and vairagya. So the kind of behavior we want, it may be difficult, but just keep doing that. and the kind of response we don't want, try to minimize that, try to avoid that. So the mind is programmed, but it is also programmable. And therein lies our hope. Okay.
So,
Yes, Prabhu.
one question connected to that will be, how do we understand mind's voice or differentiate between mind's voice and Krishna's voice?
So generally, all voices come with very convenient labels. This is mind speaking, this is Krishna speaking. They don't come like that. So rather than worrying about the source, we can focus on the effect. That by following this, where will I go? So, phalena parichayate. Now, we basically can't always know. But many times we can know. Say, if I am having some conflict with someone, and something inside me says, yell at this person, put them in their place. Now, we can know from our past experience, this is not going to take me to closer to Krishna. So, we could say that among the voices inside, there are some areas which are positive. Let's say we all have certain abilities. If somebody has a musical instinct, somebody has a language instinct, they just get the right thing to do. That's our varna. According to our particular talents and abilities, we are able to do certain things right. This is what people call the gut feeling or the instinct, the sixth sense. So we all, through our experience in our life, know in which areas the voice from within is right, generally speaking. And we also know, to some extent, the areas where it is wrong. So if we just identify this and work on these two things. Now here we make mistakes, because in between these two, there are voices. Is this a good, is this a bad voice? Gray area. We can't, what they say is this, the muddle in the middle. The muddled middle or the muddle in the middle. But if we work on this and work on this, gradually what will happen is, these two will grow. See, ultimately, Krishna wants to guide us. So if we show him and he sees that we are choosing the wiser voice and we are staying away from the unwiser voice, then overall what will happen, after some time what will happen is, so the positive voice will become bigger. The negative will also and the positive, what is positive will become clearer, and what is negative will also become clearer. And the grey area will shrink. It's not that we can completely eliminate the grey area ever, because we are finite beings. But the grey area can shrink with time. That's what Sattvat Sanjayate Jnanam. Sattva brings clarity. So one aspect of the clarity is we start understanding which voices from inside are working for us and which are working against us. Okay. So thank you very much. Kantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai.
Chaitanya Charan Prabhu ki Jai.
On behalf of all of us, we thank His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu and we request him